down there, go and write data management. And the essence of data management is to fix any inconsistency that might have been done during the data entry process. So you know very well, if you proceed and analyze your data just the way it was entered, you might find that you might have some insights which might not be consistent with the actual representation from the field. What am I saying? When you're out there doing data entry, you realize it's all about speed. And with speed, people tend to make mistakes because all they're just doing is just transfer information from the paper to the software, from the paper to the software, from the paper to the software. So during that period of time, people tend to make mistakes. And to you as an analyst, if you go ahead and analyze that data the way it is, then you realize that you might end up analyzing things on which are not the true reflection of what was collected in the field. So we're going to learn some few things about data management, and there are several of them. I don't want to start listing all of them here. Okay, there are a lot of concepts, around 7 of them under data management, and it may take a lot of time to just list all of them. But the understanding here is we will be preparing our data towards now the actual analysis. Let's talk about the third section, the third part of this course. So far we said we look at data entry, data management, and then let's talk about the last part, which is now the data analysis. Data analysis is now the main thing. Your essence here is to be in a position to analyze any type of data. So as you have entered, you have managed, now the backbone here is now, can you make sense or can you extract the numbers and interpret them? In data analysis, I will break down into two. When we talk of data analysis, I will have no choice but to break down into two. And the first concept we're going to learn is descriptive statistics. We will learn about descriptive statistics. With descriptive statistics, this is where we just describe our data. We try to understand how does our data looks like, what is the distribution looks like. And descriptive statistics, so I've said analysis, we're breaking down into two. The first one is descriptive statistics, whereby we'll just be describing our data. The second one, under data analysis, we will look at the inferential analysis. So we have descriptive statistics, and secondly, we have inferential analysis. With inferential analysis, this is where you're no longer just describing the data, but rather you want to go deeper and check relationship. How does one variable relate to another? So let's talk about the descriptive statistics first before we jump into inferential. So with descriptive statistics, again, we will split into two. How are we going to split it? Descriptive statistics, or the type of descriptive statistics that someone should perform, again, depend on how that data is structured. So we will be guided by the data structure. And the two components of a descriptive statistics, one, we will look at what we call analysis for categorical data. Sometimes they're also referred as discrete data. So if the structure of your data is in the form of a discrete or categorical, now the type of descriptive statistics that you're going to do there, we will perform what you called extraction of frequencies, or coming up with a frequency table. When you have groupings, maybe you have gender for your responded. When you talk about frequency, majorly what you'll be talking about here is just to tell how many males maybe were in your data set, how many females were in your data set, or how many times does a male appear, how many times does a female appear in that data set. That is what we call frequency. And apart from just having those frequencies, you will also be getting their percentages. So I will say what percentage of your distribution or the sample population are males, how many are females, and so forth. So what is guiding us there is the structure of that data. So if that data is structured in form of a categorical, or the one we call it discrete, then you know the type of descriptive statistics that you're going to do will be performing what you call extraction of frequencies. The second part under descriptive statistics, this is where we talk about data structures which are in a continuous form. We have data structures which are in form of continuous. And continuous data, we will be performing what we call the measures of central tendency. When analyzing data which are in a continuous form, we will be running what we call measures of central tendency. Now I want my audience, someone to tell me what are the examples of a measure of central tendency. Any volunteer to tell me example of a measure of central tendency?
I think measures
Yes,
of
go on.
central tendency, measures of central tendencies includes things like mode, median.
Mhm.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Good. That is very correct. So we talk about mean, mode, median, standard deviation.
Mod.
Sorry about that. So we say measures of central tendency. We talk about things like mean, mode, medium. We'll also be incorporating measures of dispersion. For instance, we talk about standard deviation, and we go ahead and now again interpret. So, for instance, if we are used to extracting standard deviation, uh, do we know what are the importance of standard deviation, or what insights can standard deviation give you? Okay, so those are some of the things that we're going to be doing here for quite some time. And then now that is all about descriptive statistics. So we say descriptive statistics is the first stage and analysis that we're going to cover. And again, we're going to split it into two, depending with the structure of your data. Now let's jump into inferential analysis. Let's jump into inferential analysis. Inferential analysis, this is where we will look at relationship. You're no longer just describing, but here you come up with hypothesis, and based on that hypothesis, it will inform you on how one variable relates to another. And there are several concepts that we're going to cover. And one of the areas that we will focus on is now the stages. What stages do you follow in conducting any inferential analysis? I want us to list them down. So we'll talk on stages of conducting inferential analysis. And the first stage, or the first step in conducting any inferential analysis, we will have a discussion on how to identify test statistics. We'll have a conversation on how to identify test statistics. Among the test statistics that we will try to identify them, one, we will be looking at the concept behind chi-square test of association. So we're talking about steps in conducting inferential analysis. And I said the first step is how to identify a test statistics. And among the test statistics that you're going to identify them, so actually by now, after this one, you'll have to go and read a little bit, remind yourself about these concepts. I'm not saying you go and do those calculations, just go and read on the theories. So we'll be looking at the concept of chi-square test. Chi-square is CHI, chi-square test of association. We'll be looking into the concepts of Pearson correlation. That is the test statistics, the second one. We'll talk about Pearson correlation. After Pearson correlation, we will look at independent sample t-test. Perfect. So we'll talk about Pearson correlation, chi-square test of association, and then lastly, we'll also look at the concept of independent sample t-test. We'll also look at the concept of paired sample t-test. Paired sample t-test. After that, we'll jump and now focus on regression or regression analysis. Now let's go back to the steps of conducting an inferential analysis. Let's talk about the second step. Now, in an event that you have identified that test statistics that you want to perform, okay, you now go to stage number 2. So if you identify that, yes, the test statistics that I'm going to do is chi-square based on certain reason, now you'll go to second stage. And second stage of performing any inferential analysis is the stage of formulation of hypothesis. You now formulate an hypothesis. You'll have to formulate an hypothesis. To formulate an hypothesis, you will understand that you have to come up with 2 of them, of which you're going to learn on how to formulate those hypotheses. And the hypothesis here, we talk about the null and also the alternative. The null and alternative. That is the second stage. Let's talk about the third stage. The third stage in conducting any inferential analysis, we will be discussing on establishment of confidence level. How do you come up with the confidence level? To what confidence level are you doing your study? What will guide you to come up with the confidence level? And when we talk about confidence level, these are just level of surety. So that when you decide to, let's say, reject or fail to reject, you will not make those, the one we call them type 1 error and type 2 error. Good. So that is the third stage. The fourth stage in conducting any inferential analysis, we look at the decision-making stage. And decision-making stage, this is where, remember we talk about coming up with the hypothesis. And we say you will have to formulate 2 of them. So here you have null hypothesis, and you also have the alternative hypothesis. In decision-making stage, this is where you have to make a choice. Are you going to reject the null hypothesis, or you're going to fail to reject? So there are some things which will guide you so that you say, okay, at this level, I'm rejecting my null, or I will fail to reject the null hypothesis. So that is the stage we call decision-making stage. And here, what will guide us, I just want you to write them down there because you can also have a chance to go and read about them. So we'll be talking about things like probability value, commonly known as p-value. So we need to understand what is a p-value. We'll also need to understand something called alpha value. So we have those two values which are very crucial in as far as decision making is concerned. So we look at probability value, which is the p-value, and we also have the alpha value. And then those two are the one which are going to help us in as far as decisions are concerned. The last stage in conducting any inferential analysis is now the conclusion part. If you now decide to make that decision, say, yes, I've rejected the null hypothesis. Now you go ahead and now make your conclusion. And now that conclusion is now what will inform your recommendation. So you say, yes, I did this study. These were my findings. That is based on the p-value and alpha value. This is how I concluded, and this is what I'm recommending. As simple as that. So we're going to spend a lot of time trying to digest all these things based on now the case studies that you're going to have. Up to that point, you should be good to go. That means if you're given a research, you will be in a position to analyze your work and also write some report on your work. The same thing, I know that is under SPSS. So, and in our class, we will not just be doing the theories of all these things, but I will be doing as you also do the same on your side. So this one is a practical class, and I would really, really appreciate if we have an engaging session whereby you come with all those questions. I know maybe some of you are doing your academic projects, or even some of you are practicing. You have some work. I want you to bring all those questions here so that we maximize this platform and we make sure that we get the best out of it. For the guys who are doing M&D, for the guys who are doing project management and so forth. So this is the platform whereby we will be digesting all those information. Like I said, today is not my day to start training, but I want to make sure that our house is in order. There are some files which will be downloaded in your respective computer. For those who already have the software installed, I want you to go somewhere in your desktop. You will confirm if you have a folder called download training materials. And inside that download training material, you will see all the softwares. If you select SPSS, which is now our software, you realize there are a lot of assignment and material that touches on this program. Okay, so between now, familiarize yourself with that. Go and even try and open those folder, open those files, so that when I tell you next week, let's open a file called NSSF contributor, you already know where that thing is. So it's not like, I'm going to ambush you. Up to that point, let me take any question or concern about this program. Any question, concern, or even a comment concerning our class. This is the time we iron out all the issues that we have before we officially start our sessions. Okay.
Hello.
Wilson?
Yeah, excuse me. My name is Wilson Oiti.
Yes.
Yeah, already have SPSS installed in my machine.
Yes.
But I realized there are several other tools that are required. So all the same, I need to get in touch with the college to install for me the rest.
Perfect.
All right, fine, thanks.
Yeah. So all you have to do for you guys, just download TeamViewer. You will take a picture of your TeamViewer and then send now to the office number and those guys will be on standby. But again, the only problem is if you send that team viewer late. I received some complaints from the IT guys, and they said someone sends a team viewer 10 minutes to class. Hapo hawezi kusaidia. So you have time now. Send even today or within in the course of the week. Okay, thank you for that. Any other person? Now let me ask a question now that you guys don't want to ask me a question. At what time are we starting our class?
It's 10:30 for the Saturday classes.
Okay, so we'll start at 10:30. Any other person? At what time are we supposed to start our class? Mas, you're saying 10. Any other person? We need to agree on this so that next time if you come to my class 20 minutes late and I fail to admit you, then you'll not say mwalimu ndo ni mbaya. So let's agree now so that we know how we're going, at what time are we starting our class. Okay. So most of you, we have those who are saying 10, we have those who are saying 10:30, we have even Haji saying 11 a.m. Now, they were, good, let me find these. I hope I have the, okay, I hope all of us were seeing my screen. There's this new timetable which was shared in the class or subgroup. Okay. If you look at that class or subgroup, it says what? We have quantitative analysis, which is the weekday, and the last cohort is now you guys. And if you look here, they're saying Saturday class starts at what? 10 a.m. So I believe all of us, we have a copy of this timetable. Okay. So the proposal in that timetable says 10 a.m. Now, this is our class. Remember, that timetable is just to guide us. So I'm taking this time for us to iron out if you want us guys to make adjustment in this timetable or we are all comfortable with that 10 a.m. Is there anyone who has a problem with that 10 a.m.? Anyone who has a challenge? Who with 10 a.m.?
Yes.
Winnie,
Yes.
talk to me. Why are you having...
Some of us will still be in the qualitative analysis class.
Or you're doing both qualitative and quantitative?
Yes.
And you're doing all of them on weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Any other person who's doing both qualitative and quantitative on weekend? Apart from Winnie? Okay, perfect. So Winnie, I'll advise you. So I'll reach out to you after the class so that we discuss about how you'll go about that.
Okay.
Any other person who's having a problem with 10 a.m.? Okay, that silence means we're all comfortable. So this is what we're going to agree. As per this timetable, it says classes are going to start at 10 a.m. I know it's a weekend, so I'll give you some 10 minutes. Okay? Every day, I'll give you guys 10 minutes to settle down. So even though the link will be shared at exactly 10 a.m., I'll give you 10 minutes to settle. That means class will start officially at 10:10. If it stretches so much, it's 10:15. If you attend my class later than that time, then I'll just tell you don't attend. And the reason is, this one is a practical session. So if you happen that you come late and I've done a couple of things, trust me, you will not be able to catch up what your colleagues will have done. So instead, I'll just tell you maybe you join the weekday. So we are all in agreement. Make sure we are all at exactly that time. And classes, we're going to start at 10:10. So you have 10 minutes of settling down after the link has been shared. Good. I think now we are comfortable. And now today, I'm not starting anything. For those who don't have softwares, like I said, make sure you have them. Next week, now we start the marathon. We make sure we cover as much as we can. For that, let me wish you all a good weekend ahead and take good care of yourselves out there.
Hello.
Yes, Wilson.
Hello.
Yes, Wilson.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, sorry. So I would also like to be in the team that will actually be taking both, if that will be possible.
Perfect. So you'll also be advised on the same after the class.
Kindly. Thank you.
Okay.
Question. I have a question.